ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ Verse 166. पटादप्यांतरस्तन्तुः तन्तोरप्यंशुरान्तरः आन्तरत्वस्य विश्रान्तिः यत्रासौ अनुमीयताम्. So we are discussing the superior attributes of Ishvara as an analysis of Mahavakya actually. And in that Mahavakya Tattvamasi, we are right now discussing the Tatpada Vachyartha, and that is Ishvara. And then Ishvara will definitely has superior attributes compared to the Jiva, which is the immediate meaning of word Tvam in Mahavakya. So later we are going to equate both, but right now we are discussing Tatpada Vichara. We are doing right now Tatpada Vichara. And the immediate meaning is Ishvara with better attributes, superior attributes. And those attributes are discussed in the Shastra and in the Mandukya Shruti we are taking as a basis to discuss that. And that is Eshaha Antaryami, Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarveshwaraha, Esha Sarvajnaha, Eshaha Antaryami, etc. etc. And so we are discussing right now the third attribute called Antaryami. That has been discussed elaborately in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So we are taking a support of that also. And that in the third chapter and seventh section in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, very elaborately this Antaryami has been discussed. Antaryami means inner controller. Inner control of the entire world, which has been divided into three parts. Adhidaivam, Adhibhutam and Adhyatmam. Or else in simple words we can say, who is the inner controller of this Jiva, who is the inner controller of the entire world, and who is the inner controller of all the forces which govern this universe called Devatas. And the definition there is given is Yaha sarveshu bhuteshu tishtan sarvebhyah bhutebhyah antaraha Yaha sarvani bhutani naveda Yasya sarvani bhutani shariram Yaha sarvani bhutani antaha yamayati Eshaha te atma antaryami amritaha. This is how Brihadaranyaka Upanishad defines Antaryami, inner controller. Ishvara has been called as the inner controller of everything. So, Yaha sarveshu bhuteshu tishtan, one who resides in everything, one who abides in everything. Sarvebhyaha bhutebhyaha antaraha, who is innermost in all the beings, in all the things. Yam sarvani bhutani naveda, one which is never available for objectification, one who is not perceptible, who is never available for objectification by anything, in either by Devatas, either by the Jivas, or either by the world. World, of course, it is inert, but it cannot, but still, let's say. So, basically, can take devatas and jivas who are conscious beings, and therefore they should be able to objectify Ishvara. No. Ishvara is never available for objectification either by devatas, either by jivas. And yasya sarvani bhutani shariram, and all these beings and things are the bodies of Ishvara. Means the entire world is a body of Ishvara. And fifth, yes, sarvani bhutani antah yamayati, and one who is a inner controller of everything. Sat yeshate atma antaryami amruta. In fact, that Ishvara, which is the meaning of the word tatpada, immediate meaning, direct meaning of word tatpada, is actually te atma, that is your atma. So this antaryami is you, Ishvara is you. That's what it says. I mean Jagat Karanam. So the Atma, well, is Brahman. Brahman is Jagat Karanam, and therefore, well, Jagat Karanam is Ishvara, and therefore you are Ishvara, basically. So it's very clearly tells here, Eshate Atma Antaryami Amrutaha, which is Amrutaha, which is not subject to time. And therefore it's very simple to understand that this is indicating this Sachidanand Brahma, where basically is your Atma, which is in the form of this Ishvara, which is in the form of Antaryami, who is inner controller. So all pervading inner controller with these 5 features is called Antaryami. Anyway, and then from verse 165, each feature has been explained. And the first feature is Yaha Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtan, one which Ishvara resides in all, abides in all. And well, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad does not give logic, but Vidyaranya says, giving an example of a thread and cloth. Just as thread basically abides in the cloth, being a cause, material cause. And therefore it very clearly says, if you see verse 165, Tantuhu pate sthitaha. Tantu abides in the thread abides in the cloth. Because here we are saying, Antaryami definition, the first feature is Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtan, one who abides in all mean all, Adhidaivam, Adhyatmam and Adhibhutam, abides in all. How it abides? Being a material cause. So it says here, Yad Upadanataya Tantuhu pate sthitaha. Upadanataya, in the form of a material cause. Upadanataya is a Itham Bhute Trutiya. So Upadanataya, it is which is in the form of a material cause. Well, definitely it is the thread abides in the cloth. Well, tatha, in the same manner, sarva upadana rupatvat, one who is a material cause of everything, one who is a cause of everything, sarvatra ayam avastita, one who abides in everything. So first feature has been explained, that the cause always abides in the effect, and therefore, well, that is how this is the first feature. Okay. Then this we have seen in last, in the last class, but I am just repeating, to give a total idea of what we are discussing. And then in verse 166, well, the second feature has been explained. And patadapi antarha tantuhu. Now antarha, because the second feature in the definition in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in definition of Tantaryami in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is Sarvebhyaha Bhutebhyaha Antarha, one who is innermost in all the beings. And therefore, now this has to be explained. Again with the example, same example, thread and our cloth. So, well, thread is a cause of the cloth, then thread is basically interior to the cloth. And then, well, of course, thread, it is not a final cause. Thread itself is an effect, and therefore its cause, which is a small fiber, etc., smaller fiber, well, which he calls as an amshu. That amshu is more interior to the thread. Thread is more interior to the cloth. So cause will be always, effect. It's a journey. Now he has started a journey actually. Journey from effect to the cause. And so thereby he will prove everything, all other features also. So within the cloth there is a thread, within the thread is a fiber. And of course fiber also is an effect. Then definitely, and it is born out of cotton, and therefore cotton becomes a material cause. And therefore cotton is still interior. And this is a fourth layer, right? So we have layer. So cotton is interior to the fiber. Fiber is interior to the thread, and thread is interior to the cloth. So this is how it is. So that is how then Ishvara also will be like that. Being a cause, definitely must be innermost, etc. That's how he says. So and ultimately this journey should end somewhere, because each thing which you say which is in interior definitely proves to be again effect. So then definitely the final thing must be the cause, should not be the effect, naturally. Otherwise still the journey will continue, the inward journey will continue, journey will always come to an end. And therefore the ultimate cause itself, it should not be an effect, that must be the cause only. And therefore here now that for so far as cotton etc is there, then there are two ways, right? I have already told you yesterday also. You can go by a scientific way, or you can do it by a Shastriya method, right? Shastriya, so the method given in the Shastra. And the cause you can find out till you will arrive at the Ishvara only. For us, Ishvara alone is a cause. And then cotton means, well, again you go to the molecule, and the cotton basically it's a earth. Okay, then well, earth, from that you can go to the our fire, and fire to the water, and water to the water, and water to the fire, and fire to the actually the air, and air to the space, like that. Interior is a cause. Every cause is interior to the its effect basically, and therefore ultimately Ishvara alone will arrive at. If we employ method of a Shastra, then the final cause, which is Ishvara, which is not an effect, it is a causeless cause, right? It is a causeless cause, that is Antaryami. And a scientific way, well, then they arrive at the energy or something, right? They can molecules and atoms and subatomic particles and etc. etc. Anyway, but there we cannot employ that method, because ultimately they are also not sure what is the final thing, what is the building block, what is the one cause. They are really trying to find out one cause of the entire creation. So they say we will find out this cause, which is the building block of the entire universe. They are in a process. Now Higgs boson, etc. they are saying, but they will change all these things. So we don't have a final answer if we employ a scientific method, definitely. They are also trying to find out the cause of the entire creation. Anyway, so here the verse says, Patadapi antarah tantu, interior to the cloth is the thread, tantoho api antarah amshuhu, amshuhu means the fiber is interior to the thread. And why you call it interior? Because upadana karanatvat, Vidyaranya says, because fiber is the material cause of the thread, and like that we can go further, and we can arrive at the final cause. And so journey from effect to the cause, karyam to karanam, well, it's an interior journey. Where does it end? Journey should end, and then of course scientists are struggling, but then we can tell ourselves that antaratamatvat antaryami yatra asau anumiyatam. Naturally, because with the pratyaksha you cannot arrive at the final cause. Naturally, you can go one or two places, one or two layers in your journey. You can cross one or two layers of cause effect, but then ultimately, well, you have to do anumanam. So aso means this final cause, anumiyatam means may it be inferred by you, because pratyaksha pramana can reach only up to one or two levels. That he says in the verse number 167 now. Dvitryantaravatvakakshanam darshanepyayamantarah navikshate tato yuktihi shrutibhyameva nirnayah. So this internal journey basically, starting from this effect to the cause, can be done with pratyaksha pramana up to a particular level, you can say. One or two layers. So he says dvitri. Dvitri means either two or three layers up to that. Antarakakshanam darshane. Antarakaksha. So this degree of the level of this internalization, internalness, or internality, okay, internality, because antaratvam. So we have to make a abstract noun of this. Antara means internal. in antaratvam means internalness. That's better actually. And so antaratva kaksha, layer, level, basically. So the degree of this layer of this internalness, well, dvitri. So you can go up to first level or a second level, etc. with the pratyaksha. I mean. So let's say, if we take an example, so if the cloth, then the internal, first layer is a thread, and then the fiber will be a second layer, that also we may be able to see. Then cotton also, the third layer, of cotton comes under the third level of internality, that also you may be able to tell. And even cotton also you can divide into small particles, perhaps you may be able to see, or with the other instruments, you can enhance your perception and you can see still. But then you can, once you go to a molecular level or something, then it won't be. And therefore, he says here, this antara kaksha basically means this degree of internality, or level of internality, or layer of even internality. So there the layers are there, thread, first layer, etc. I mean the fiber, second layer, cotton, third layer, etc. But 2 or 3 layers you can, or 2-3 means you can take little more also, no problem. He just give an example, 2-3 layers. So don't say, he says 2-3, but I am able to see cotton also, and I am able to see the small particles also, and therefore I can go up to 6th layer also, no problem, nothing to it. But after some layer, you will have to give it up. Perception, and with enhanced perception also you are not able to see. Even with all our scopes, microscope and all that, you are not able to see that. So darshane api antarah navikshate. This internality, basically after 2 or 3 layers, etc. Darshane api, it is this ultimate layer. Let's talk about ultimate layer now. Ultimate layer is not visible. Here, antarah na vikshate, it has been told. So that is not available for basically for perception. So this is even third feature we have to include in this. The final layer of internality, that is final cause, causeless cause, right, is not available for objectification. That's the third feature I have already told you. So the cause, the ultimate cause must be the innermost, right? And that cause, navikshate. Antara is equal to antaratamaha. You have to take it that way. Final layer of internality, final cause, navikshate is not available for perception. It is not it is imperceptible. It's not visible. It is not available for objectification, etc., etc. So navikshate, and so this is it. So then what? How will you know? You are talking about this, and you are saying it is not available for any perception, even with the enhanced perception, with the scopes and everything, microscope and these, and it is not available. Then how can you talk about it? That Antaryami is, Ishvara is. How can you talk about it? So so that's a general principle. Whatever cannot be known through pratyaksha, we have to know through anuman. So that's what we are doing. So Vidyaranya Swamiji says, Tataha. Therefore, since it is not available for perception, Tataha means this. Since it is not available for perception, replace every word by, appropriate meaning. Then you will find the whole verse is in your mind. Tataha means therefore. Therefore means wherefore. Wherefore means actually, therefore means since the final cause, which is innermost, is not available for perception, yukti shrutibhyam eva nirnayah. Therefore, you can arrive at, arrive at this innermost layer of internality, or this innermost, the cause, final cause of the whole creation, by shruti yukti bhyam, both by shruti pramana and yukti pramana. And yukti means anumana pramana. And so in Tarka Shastra, they heavily depend upon this Tarka or Anumana. And they also do the same thing. See, when they talk about this minuteness of, of the size, etc., they say this, what? The minutest particle is what? They call it as a Parman. And they define Parmanu as what? As absolutely small thing, and which can never be divided. That's how it is. They say Parmanu is a final. See, what happens is they say the whole creation has come from Parmanus, except Akasha. Akasha is Nityam. So Akasha does not have Parmanu. Akasha was there all the time, even in Pralaya also. But then other four elements which came, they were there in the Parmanu form. Parmanu means say a minutest thing which cannot be divided further. That's called Parmanu. Anu is also, they come to the level of atomic level, but then they say no. Anus again can be divided into Parmanu. But the Parmanu is the minutest or smallest, that's better. Because sometimes problem. So, so basically, smallest particle which cannot be divided further. Those Parmanus of Vayu, Jalam, Agni and Prithvi, they are all hanging in this space, in the Pralaya. Space is there all the time, is Nityam. And these all Parmanus are hanging there. And then these Parmanus join. How they join and make these gross elements? Because that is Ishvara Ichcha. Ishvara is there. Ishvara, he Sankalpa. Ishvara Sankalpa about a creation. And as he does a Sankalpa, this Parmanu starts joining. And then will form a Anu. And then, Anu will join. Makes a Dvanuk. And then the three that duplets, they join, and duplex or whatever. So they join and make a triplet, and then quartet, etc. whatever. So that's how ultimately Parmanu becomes this gross element. Parmanu of what? Parmanu of the Vayu, Parmanu of the Agni, all which were there in the Pralaya. At the time of creation, they start joining. But then all are hanging and floating around in this space. Then this basically Parmanu of earth should join Parmanu of earth only, another Parmanu of earth. Then only it is possible. But then all are hanging. Then a Parmanu of the earth will join with the Parmanu of the fire, etc. Then these gross elements cannot arrive. Ishvara is there. Why do you worry? They say. Ishvara is there. Ishvara's Sankalpa. That's how a Parmanu of earth will join with another Parmanu of earth. No disorder. Ishvara is right there. Ishvara is a Nimitta Karana of the creation. Understand this. Ishvara is a Nimitta Karana. Then Parmanu is a Upadana Karana. They are different. Yeah. That's how they say. And therefore, very nice, right? So atomic theories. So very beautiful. And scientists don't believe that Ishvara, etc. But scientists also will say like this only. Ultimately, atomic theories they also have. Anyway, but our Nayayika is basically more than a scientist. So he says, no. Well, all Parmanus are there, but ultimately they join in a certain fashion in order to create this intelligent all elements, beautiful elements, gross elements, from which the whole gross in world has come. So that Ishvara, which is the intelligent cause, Nimitta Karan, is right there. And he does that job. And properly and he systematically combines all together. Anyway, so what they say is this the smallest particle basically is, they define it as a Parmanu, they call it as the smallest one, and which can never be divided. That is, and same way, say there is a Vibhu also. Vibhu means what? There is something which is infinite in size and which cannot expand further. Parmanu is something which is smallest, cannot be divided further. Vibhu is something which is infinite, which cannot be expanded further. Parmanu and Vibhu. Okay? These two things are there. And then how will you arrive at Vibhu? Vibhu means infinite in size. How do you see give me your eyes. I want to see infinite. Because I am basically in search of Brahman. And therefore I also want to see infinite. And therefore, I would like to, see, because you say there is an infinite which cannot be expanded further. Means you must have seen. No, no, no. Nobody can see infinite. That's correct. Then how do you arrive at? Well, basically, you should arrive at what is not available for perception. You should arrive at by inference, right? So, Anumana Pramana. So, we tell to these Nayayikas, the way you arrive at to arrive at a Parmanu or a Vibhu by Anumana Pramana, the smallest one also you cannot see, the infinite one also you cannot see, then therefore Pratyaksha won't work, and therefore basically you are arriving at by inference only. Well, so same way, we are also arriving at innermost and the cause of everything, that is Antaryami, Ishvara, by Anuman. Because our cause is also, which is the final cause, which is not an effect. Like your Parmanu, which is smallest, which cannot be divided further. Your Vibhu, which is infinite, cannot be expanded further. Same way our Antaryami also is like that, which is innermost and which is cause of everything, which is not an effect. And therefore, that Antaryami we also arrive at by Anumana. Oh, if Ishvara is you arrive at by Anumana, yeah. Then you and me, what is the difference? You were that day shouting. You were that day shouting against us. That when we were proving Ishvara with the logic, you were saying you cannot prove. You gave so much of arguments, and snatched the microphone from me. Well, what are you doing? So Ishvara is not that is how Vidyaranya is very clear. He says Shruti Yukti Bhyam. Yeah, the Antaryami, the cause of everything, which is not an effect, the causeless cause, which is innermost. Well, definitely not through Pratyaksha, through Anumana. But before that, Shruti. Shruti talks about it. And therefore, what Shruti talks about it, we supply some reasoning in order to make you understand that. In order, we give certain reasoning so that your intellect will absorb this concept of Ishvara as Antaryami. And so, supported, that's a difference between Vedantin and Nayayika. Nayayika proves Ishvara without any Shruti support. And I have given you the logic also, right? The donkey's logic. Anyway, so if you go by logic, there will be logical fallacies. If you employ just logic, there will be logical fallacies all the time in anything. Because the whole creation also does not fit into logic. Really speaking, if it fits into logic, it is a real creation. If it fits into anything which fits into the logic, means you are able to categorize it. By logic, you categorize everything. That's what the Nayayika does. Everything they categorize. And therefore, Sapta Padartha and Navadravyani and 24 gunas, and so everything. Pancha karmas are of five types. This gunas, attributes are of 24 types. Then dravya, substances are 9 types. And the whole world is of 7 padartha, 7 categories only are there. Everything categorized. Logicians categorize everything. And therefore we say the whole creation is basically a product of Maya only. Maya only manifests. And therefore Maya itself is basically something which is Sadasat Vilakshanam. And therefore the creation also is like that. Anyway, and therefore, it cannot be proven. Regarding Ishvara, of course, we drop that topic, but here, Ishvara cannot be proven by logic. So definitely the Antaryami here, one of the attributes of Ishvara, Antaryami means Ishvara. Antaryami, the direct meaning of Antaryami, it's a synonym. Antaryami means Ishvara. Exact synonymous word is Ishvara, I know. Exact synonymous? Okay, synonymous. Okay, and therefore, this is a difficulty I have, okay? And therefore, these logical fallacies will be there always. That's how, this is a very nice statement of Pujya Swamiji is this. What Veda talks about, Ishvara, Punyapapa, Devatas, Lokas and this Atma, etc., they are beyond logic. Definitely beyond logic. But it is not illogical also. And that logic we supply in order to support the statements of the Shruti is called Shruti Sammata Tarka. That's called Shruti Sammata Tarka. So please understand this, this Tarka. We also definitely employ Tarka. In fact, the Vedantic student is required to have this capability of reasoning. Absolutely. Otherwise, one will not be able to assimilate the ideas. Just to prove what the subject matter of the Veda is not illogical, we supply logic. Not what we are proving what Veda says. Never say that. Never say that. We are trying to prove, or we are proving with the logic. Veda says what Veda says. Never. What Veda says is beyond logic. Because subject matter which is within logic must be available for perception also. Certain data from perception. Yeah. Samaji, what is available for logic is not available for perception. Then only you apply logic. Correct. But data comes from the perception. All data comes from perception. Even the Nayayikas trying to prove Ishvara, well, immediately they come to the creation. How do you say Ishvara is? Oh, Ishvara is a creator, Nimitta Karana, intelligent cause. Oh, fine, very good. Then, how will you prove it? No, this is a creation. Okay, so the perception. You will have any anumanam, any logic needs data. That's what scientists are doing. Scientists collect the data and with the experiments, and then they try to prove something. Experiments are nothing but they are available for perception. And therefore, then in order to generate data, well, that's a perception through the senses and enhance perception, etc. You generate data, and then definitely from there you conclude something. Anyway, so here we also apply logic, and we also do anumanam to prove innermost Ishvara, Antaryami Ishvara, and that is Antarat. What is that Anumana Vakyam? Antaratvam Taratamyam Kvachit Vishrantam Taratamyatvat Anutva Taratamyavat. So this is a Anumana Vakyam. What it means? Antaratvam Taratamyam Kvachit Vishrantam. So this internal journey, ultimately, Kvachit Vishrantam. Well, this internal journey, basically must culminate somewhere, because it is Antaratvam, this journey of internality. Taratamyam has a gradation, right? Because what is cause right now is proven effect. You go still interior, then you find a cause, then that becomes an effect. So this is a gradation. Taratamyam is gradation. Antaratvam Taratamyam Kvachit Vishrantam. This internal journey of this, finding a cause ultimately, or finding the Antaryami must culminate somewhere, because it's a journey of gradation. Taratamyatvat. Any journey of a gradation will ultimately should halt somewhere. And being a journey of a gradation, definitely, any journey of gradation basically means should culminate somewhere. Similarly, because journey means culmination must be there. Anyway, and so here internal journey, definitely culminate somewhere, and that is because it's a journey of a gradation, and that culmination will be Antaryami. So effect. Okay, the cause is interior. Oh, that is effect. Okay, its cause is interior. Okay, that is effect. Its cause is interior. Okay, now the final cause, because that cause should not be effect. Yeah, otherwise, you will continue. Class will be over, but you continue, because because you are counting now. Oh, Swamiji, I have reached to the nth level now. Nth level of internality, internalness. Okay, nth level of internalness. Okay, stop there. No. That's the effect. I am trying to find a cause of it. Now then, it goes on and on. That's called anavastha dosha. This is called anavastha. So there is no finality. If there is no finality, you cannot arrive at the truth. And therefore, the final cause must be cause only, not effect. Otherwise, your journey will continue. So if it is an internal journey, should culminate into a antaryami, which is a causeless cause, which is not effect. Like that Parmanu of a Tarka Shastra, right? They are dividing and dividing and dividing to find the smallest one. Then they have said, "Bas, this is final. This is the smallest one is this Parmanu, which cannot be divided further." Or the infinite, the Vibhu. Vibhu is something infinite, which cannot be expanded further. Final answer. Of course, through Anumana. Then we also through Anumana. Ishvara, Antaryam. Final answer. Causeless cause. No more effect. That is how it is. So, continuing. Patarupena samsthanan patastantorvapuryatha sarvarupena samsthanan sarvamasya vapustatha. Actually, I forgot to tell you that even the third point we have proved. See the Dvitya in the verse number 167. If you see, the second line proves the third feature of the Antaryami. Na vikshate tataha yukti shrutibhyam eva nirnaya. See, the first feature I told you, the Antaryami abides in the whole creation as a cause. Second, Antaryami is innermost. That also we have proved. That we have proved in verse 167, first line. Then the third feature, that Antaryami is never available for objectification, not perceptible, etc. That is proved in the third line. Navikshate tataha. Since it is not available for perception, the antartamaha basically means the innermost layer of internality, which is the final cause. Navikshate, since it is not available for perception, yukti shrutibhyam eva nirnaya. It is to be proven, or it is to be understood through Anumana Pramana. So the third feature of this Antaryami, which we have discussed in the beginning itself, that it is not available for objectification, that is proven here in this second line of verse 167. Now fourth feature has been discussed in the verse 168. And so fourth feature. What is that fourth feature? This one, since it is the karanam of everything, it is the cause of everything, this cause alone appears in the form of different karyam. Like thread appear in the form of a shirt, or thread appear in the form of a handkerchief, etc., or tablecloth, etc. So it's a one cause appearing in the form of different effects. So by assuming how one cause appears in different forms, by assuming different names and forms. And therefore, the cause basically assumes, different namarupas. And these namarupas, they will be called as a vesham, basically. It's an appearance, right? It's an appearance, costume, you can say. One cause alone appears in many vesham. Like one wood appears in the form of a desk, and one wood appears in the form of a cot, or etc., or a table, etc., chair. And so same way, so by putting why appear? Why? What is the need on the part of Antaryami to appear in all these names and forms? Why? Because it wants to do Vyavara. And therefore, if Namarupas are not there, Vyavara will not be possible. So, that's how, since it is the innermost and the cause of everything, it cannot do any Vyavara. Not available for perception itself. Jnana Vyavara itself is not available. Where is further? So, no question. There are two Vyavara. Vyavara means don't think of anything. Vyavara means a transaction. Transaction between you and the world through the instruments. Yeah. So when you use a sense organs, it's called Jnana Vyavara. When you transact with the world through organs of action, it's called Karma Vyavara. And therefore, ultimately, but these senses should be there, and organ of action should be there, and they themselves cannot do unless they sit somewhere. If they have to function, they have to sit in one office, they have to buy one or take on rent some office, and then they sit there and they do Vyavara with the whole world. So we have seen that, right, in Tattva Bodha. This gross body is a basically a place, is an abode for all subtle body to be there inside, and then with the help of subtle body, this transaction has been done. Anyway, so different names and forms should be there before for the Vyavara. So like gold cannot do any Vyavara. Gold, when it appears in different forms, well, definitely in forms of bangles and etc. and chain and everything, then for available for transaction, right? For doing a Vyavara, for utilizing them for different purposes. So same way, this our Antaryami also, Ishvara also, he puts on varieties of the Veshas, like a man is a Vesha, woman is a Vesha, etc. Prithvi is a Vesha, because all you have to take, all the three. Devatas are also Vesha, right? The same Ishvara we have seen also. Same Ishvara, when looked upon from a given angle, from a given force, natural force, we call it Devata. From one standpoint of a Vayu, well, we call Vayu Devata. So you have to take Adhibhuta, Adhideva and Adhyatma, all are Veshas. Jiva is a Vesha of a Ishvara. Devatas are a Vesha of a Ishvara. And the whole world also is a Vesha of Ishvara. And then transaction between Jiva and this world, or Devatas and the world, or between Jiva and Devatas. All kinds of Vyavaras, possible. When Ishvara takes all these names and forms as a Vesha. And that is called here as a Vapuhu, Shariram. Any name and form, which we call it as appearance, costume, Vesha, is called here as a body. So it says here, verse says, Pataha tantoho vapuhu iva. So the cloth is like a Vesha put on by the thread. And cloth Navrupa is called Vapu. Vapu is body basically. Anyway, so even that is how even see the Tantu. Tantu cannot do Vyavara, thread cannot do Vyavara, but cloth definitely does Vyavara. So Tantu in the form of a or even a tablecloth does a Vyavara. Tantu does not do Vyavara. Tantu in form of tablecloth, Tantu in the form of a shirt, whatever. It's a particular name and form. Then only Vyavara is possible. That's how then the rules of Vyavara is also there. Rules of Vyavara also should be there. Yeah. Since it is one Ishvara alone, and therefore no rules. Ultimately everything is one. Shishya tells to Guru also, you are also Brahman and I am also Brahman. Okay? And therefore I did Namaskaras. So since many years I am doing. Okay, now you are also Brahman, but I am also Brahman. You, for a change better, you also do some Namaskara to me also. That kind of a thing. Never. So Advaitam Trishu Lokeshu Nadvaitam Gurunasaha. So that is how it has been. So Bhavadvaitam Sada Kuryat Kriyadvaitam Na Karhichit Advaitam Trishu Lokeshu Nadvaitam Gurunasaha. Nadvaitam means Na Advaitam. Gurunasaha Advaitam. You understand? So, Bhava Advaitam Sada Kuryat. Bhava Advaitam. Everyone is a manifestation of a Bhava. Bhava means a Swabhava, Swarupam, reality. Yeah, everyone is a manifestation of Brahman. Kriya Advaitam na Garhichit. In terms of Kriya, Vyavara. No, never. Therefore, everything is Brahman. Therefore, you will invite Papa. I talked about it on Sunday. Yeah, Dharmashastra says, Dharmashastra looks upon you, looks upon Atma with name and form. Vedanta Shastra looks upon Atma devoid of name and form. Different thing. Altogether different thing. One looks upon you as a Jiva. Jiva means a conditioned consciousness, Brahman. Conditioned by what? Name and form. And therefore, Dharmashastra says you should obey the rule, because we look upon you as a Jiva. How can you say Dharmashastra looks upon you as Jiva? Whole discussion in Karma Kanda is what? Well, do this yaga and you will gain punyam and then you will go to the other loka. Then who goes? Jiva goes or Brahman goes? And therefore, the whole Dharmashastra looks upon you as a Jiva and with a name and form. who is available for transaction, who goes from birth to death and etc., who acquires punya papa, who has a kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, everything. Because karma kanda tells you to perform some karma. So karma kanda looks upon you, the self, as a karta. Yeah. And Vedanta Shastra just opposite. Just opposite. So when you come to Dharma Shastra, means you look upon, they look upon you as a, basically with a name and form. But Swamiji, it is mithya. But mithya is there, but then you transact, right? Jnani does transaction or not? Yeah, transact. Then what? Who does transaction? Atma Brahman does transaction. So consciousness along with the name and form we call ego, etc. Well, even though it is mithya for him, but still, if he does transaction, definitely transaction is done through name and form. And then definitely Dharma Shastra comes into the picture. Same Jnani. When he does transaction, he is seeing something, doing, eating something. They do have several things he is doing. He is teaching also. And several things he does. And therefore, Dharma Shastra, well, definitely, whatever the rules are there in Dharma Shastra has to be observed. Otherwise, you will incur papam. But Jnani will incur papam, etc. That let us keep it aside. But he follows. But Swamiji, why should he follow? He is beyond dharma and adharma, right? Dharma, anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat, anyatra asmat krita kritat, anyatra bhutacha bhavyach, yattat pashyasi, atyat pashyasi, tad veda. Yattat pashyasi, I'm sorry, tad kathaya, etc. Something. I forgot that. In Kathopanishad, Nachiketa said that. You give me the jnanam which is beyond dharma and adharma, etc. That's correct. But then Jnani, even though he knows that he is beyond dharma, adharma, etc., but he will always follow dharma. Why? Because he has a freedom, he can do adharma. No, but he won't. Because dharma is his second nature. Yeah. So in Karma Yoga, if you remember. So, basically, by following Karma Yoga, etc., he has followed dharma. And therefore he has formed a habit of following dharma in the Vyavahara. And so now it's a spontaneously following dharma. That's how all jnanis are following dharma, by spontaneously. There is nothing kartrutvam. No kartrutvam is there. But in Vyavahara, you will always find them within dharma. That's their second nature. Otherwise, if they were having adharma, etc., to begin with, where is the question of gaining knowledge? Dharma is there. Anyway, this is just by the way. And we will stop here because there is a puja at 11:30. So I will take up this day after tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.